Welcome to this video that will show you how easy it is to set up a free Microsoft Azure account and explore the public preview of Windows virtual desktops. The first thing you want to do is go to azure.com in your web browser and find the green Start Free button in the middle of the screen. You'll be asked for some information and within a few minutes have a working Azure account. Since we don't want to share the personal information in this video, I've prepared an account as it would be if you had just signed up. The first thing you want to do in the search field up here at the top of the screen is to look for the Azure AD domain services, so we eventually have a domain that we can tie the Windows virtual desktops to. Leave the default name. We'll need this throughout the video, so I will copy this right now. You can create a resource name with whatever group name you want to hand out to this group. I will just name it group. Select the location. The default one is fine. We'll need a network. Create new. Again, the default settings are fine. And the same for the subnet. Okay, move on to step 3. We need a domain administrator, so we will add the user that we just created to the account. Actually, that was not necessary. It was already added in there, so just hit OK. Leave this as the default value as well, and hit OK. You'll see up here that the deployment has started. This is a process that takes a little while, so I will be back with the next part of this video once this step has completed. Now that the domain has been provisioned, there are just a couple steps we need to do to prepare the environment for the addition of the Windows virtual desktop. So we'll click on the notifications up here, go to the resource, that's the domain, and then the only step here to do is to make sure we have this connected to our DNS server. This is just one click, and it's done within a couple seconds. The next thing you want to do is go to the Azure Active Directory here on the left side and add some actual user accounts into the environment. In my experience, that's a little bit easier for the things that we're going to do down the road. We will just add 2 users, one global admin and one user. Add Liz at, remember the format for the domain is always your email address minus the @ and .com. And then on Microsoft.com. We'll need this a couple times. The profile you can leave largely empty. I'll just add the first name here. Hit OK. Nothing to do in properties. Since this will be an admin account, I will add it to the appropriate group and then change the directory role from user to global administrator. Hit OK. I will show the password and copy that and create the account. I'll grab a private window real quick to do the login. We'll just do that portal.azure.com. Liz at wvdezip gmail.com. .onmicrosoft.com. Paste the temporary password, paste it again, pick a new one. Sign her in. That's done. Close this tab and add a second user as an actual user, Mike at wvdezip.com, gmail.on-microsoft.com. Again, just add the username or the first name here. Don't need properties, we don't need groups. He'll remain a regular user, so we'll just copy the password here and create the account. Grab another private browser window, portal.azure.com, Mike at wvdezip.com. Copy the password, pick a new one. And that's done as well. With that, we have two distinct users in our environment that we can use for further operations down the road. As you can see, these are a little easier than the account that we used to create this free Azure account. The next thing we need to do, since we're going to use Liz, make sure that she actually has access to all of the resources in the subscription. That means we go back to the search window up top, look for subscriptions, select the subscription, click on access control here in the middle, and add a role and assignment. The role that we want is the owner. Gain access to everything, and we will pick Liz here, save this, and that's done as well. That actually finishes all of the prep steps that we need to do, and we can sign in here in the Azure portal with Liz's account. Simplicity's sake, I will save this password here. Probably not something you should do with your global admin in a regular environment. You can see we're signed in with the new account, and we're actually at the point where we can start the Windows Virtual Desktop work. To get started with the addition of Windows Virtual Desktops to this account, we'll open another browser tab and search for Windows Virtual Desktops. There's a great page from Microsoft that has pretty good instructions that will walk you through this entire process. We've done all the prerequisites that are listed here, so we can go straight to the next step. And in the middle of all this text, you find the Windows Virtual Desktop consent page. That's just something we need to do to make sure that the Windows virtual desktops actually get added to the environment. Add our domain here with the server app, hit submit, log in. Make sure you log in with the same account that you want to use to finish all of this. So we're using Liz. Accept the permissions that are being asked for here. And now we have about a minute or so that we need to kill before we can do this step again. Take the time and maneuver back. Okay, enough time has passed, so we maneuvered back to the initial consent page, but we have to change this from the server app to the client app. Add our domain name again, hit submit, log in with Liz's account, accept the permissions, and we're done. Can close this tab. Next thing you need to do is to make sure that Liz is the owner of the enterprise application for Windows Virtual Desktop in Azure. So go back to the search window, hit Enterprise Applications. Pick the top one, the Windows Virtual Desktop, not the client one. Go to Users and Groups. Click Add User. Select the user. Pick Liz. Click Select. And the role is already predefined as the tenant creator. That will be the actual account that creates the Windows Virtual Desktops here in a second. Next, we go back to the instructions page. Skip ahead a little bit. And we'll have some PowerShell work to do. It's really crucial that you don't miss this one link here in the text. Click on it. Copy the first command, and then make sure you run PowerShell as an administrator. Paste the command. That part's done. On to the next one. And back one page. Copy the first command from here. Sign in with Liz's account. And the password. That part's done. The next PowerShell command needs to be assembled a little bit. I'll show you where to find the necessary components, and we'll start by adding the raw command into Notepad so that we can easily make edits. The first thing is to add the tenant name. That's the domain name essentially. I've seen that a couple times throughout the video already. And the directory ID you find in your Azure portal. You go to Azure Active Directory, click on Properties down here, and then it's this line right here in the middle, easily copied, and inserted into the text. Next, you need the subscription ID. If you remember from earlier, we gave Liz access to the subscription, so we'll just go back there. Click on the subscription, select properties here towards the bottom of the screen, and copy the subscription ID from the first line. And we'll add it to the command. That's all that's required to do. Copy this, go back to PowerShell, insert the command, enter. In this case, I get an error message because I had to do some prep work and testing with the account. You will just get a confirmation, may have to log in one more time, and then you're good to go. Can close all of this, and then it's time to add the final piece, the host pool for the Windows virtual desktops. On the top left, click on Create a Resource, and look for Virtual Desktop. Select the option Windows Virtual Desktops, provision a host pool. Click Create. And now we have to pay a little bit of attention. We'll name this host pool Acme. We'll add Liz at wdvd@gmail.onmicrosoft.com. Copy this real quick for the second user. It's just comma separated values. If you want to add additional users later down the road, you can do that with PowerShell commands. The necessary commands are in the instruction page here that we looked at earlier. You need a new empty resource group, and I want to put this into the same location that I have the rest of my environment. The next page defines how powerful the machines are that you're creating. For this test account, you have to dial it back pretty far because there's only a very limited number of CPU cores available. It will make the machines not as interesting, but you can certainly see what all this can do. So I'll pick this option. And then they want a machine prefix. I always use the same thing throughout this entire setup process. It's really critical here that you select the HDD as the disk type, otherwise the deployment will fail. Add Liz as the admin here that will join the domain. Make sure you select the same network that the domain controller is living on, or the Azure Directory Services, I should say, are living on, along with the proper subnet. We only have the one, so that's easy. Tenant name is the oft recited Liz's account again. Done. We'll see a final validation of the entries that we made. It takes a couple of seconds. Pass. And it's time to create this host pool. This is another process that will take a little while. So as soon as this is finished, I will be back. And with that, the deployment is complete. We're ready to actually log into the Windows Virtual Desktop environment. Since this is a preview version, you can see little hiccups along the way. Sometimes just repeat those steps. Eventually, after a try or two, you will definitely get to the correct results. And with that, let's head over back to the instructions, open the how-to sections, and see how we can connect to the desktops that we just created via the web client. Certainly one of the more interesting features of this entire concept that Microsoft has introduced here. Maybe another quick side note as we open this, take some time in between those steps. Sometimes it seems like some of the systems need a little bit of time to get ready to be looked at sometimes, so give yourself some time with all of this. That said, I had preset this so we can not look at me typing passwords quite so often. You see Mike, the user that we created earlier with just regular user rights, has his session desktop here in his web browser. Click, decide which resources to add. Time to log in again. And the password. Pass on this for the moment, even though it will be convenient. And just like that, you have a virtual Windows 10 desktop that fully supports all of the applications you're looking for within your web browser that you can access from anywhere. We hope you found this tutorial helpful, and we look forward to sharing more news around our solutions for Windows Virtual Desktop with you soon.